Thank you very much. It's a blessing to be here. It really feels like second home to me. And I would like to start with a few words by one of the last living survivors of Auschwitz. He was also a part of the Selma March here in the 60s. So a few years ago, there was this 75th anniversary of liberating Auschwitz, and he had a speech. And just finishing this speech, he said these words: "Thou shalt not be indifferent when you see historical lies. Thou shalt not be indifferent when the past is distorted for today's political needs. Thou shalt not be indifferent when any minority is discriminated against. Democracy hinges on the rights of minorities being protected. Thou shalt not be indifferent when any government infringes on the existing social contract. Be faithful to this commandment, the 11th commandment, thou shalt not be indifferent, because if you are indifferent, you will not even notice when another Auschwitz descends from the sky, falls upon the heads of you and your descendants." So what we are experiencing in my part of the world, we're asking the question, is the effect of being indifferent? And I don't know. But there is a war going on near to our borders, just a few hundred miles from the place where I live. And there are, well, it's been for a year, and there are the east part of Ukraine is destroyed, totally destroyed. There are many places where there is no gas, no electricity, and people are freezing to death. And there are millions of refugees coming to my country. In the last year, our border was crossed almost 10 million times. So right now in Poland, we have 2.5 million refugees. In my city, Wrocław, Breslau, which is about 650,000 people, there is about 250,000 refugees, war refugees from Ukraine. It's amazing, really. So I remember really last year when the war broke up, I was here, and I remember going back home, and I just couldn't believe that. I mean, the refugees, they were everywhere, in the churches, and stadiums, schools, on the streets. They mainly women and children, some seniors, and they didn't know what to do really, how to survive. And this was the time, I think a miracle, when people, just private people, Poles, they would approach them and they would invite them to their houses. So all of them found the places to live, to stay for some time. So now, even now, a year after that, we don't have any refugee camps, nothing like this. People live and they are integrated in our society. Their kids go to schools, they can use our health care programs, and they can work. It's wonderful. And we as a school, we can also help somehow in this context, and thanks to your generosity. It's amazing, really. So last year, we were able to fundraise something like $400,000, and we really are spending, and have spent, to help those people. I'm just immediate needs, like clothes, food, sleeping bags, accommodations, but then also longer needs, longer run needs, like psychological help, or teaching them Polish language, or helping them to find jobs, or something like this. So we're really trying whatever we can, but then, I'm asking myself this question: is it really changing anything? I mean, there are millions of them, and we are just a small school. But, when I see people who are smiling, or people who can sleep again after long months of sleepless nights, or when we invite our theologian friends from Ukraine who are fighting on the front line, and they are coming to spend some time with us, and after a few days they start smiling and drinking beer with us, and I mean, I'm thinking then, well, small signs, small steps, they are changing the world. So I think it matters. So thank you very much for your help, for your generosity, for your friendship, trusting with us. It's really changing the world. I mean, small things, it's changing the world. So I would like to finish with a few words of Dietrich Bonhoeffer, who was born in my town, and just a few months before his death in Berlin, in prison, he wrote these words: "Silence in the face of evil is itself evil. God will not hold us guiltless. Not to speak is to speak. Not to act is to act. And then he adds, the church is the church only when it exists for others, not dominating, but helping and serving. It must tell people of every calling what it means to live for Christ, to exist for others. So this is what we are trying to do. We try to live for Christ and to exist for others. And thank you very much for being a part of this ministry. Thank you.